Welcome back. We left off in the last video with deciding that the parts truck that I had bought was actually in better shape than the original truck. So with that decision made, we went back to square one. Here you can see that we're removing the engine. Getting some odds and ends pulled, extra wiring, the old AC system, things that we don't need. Alright, I stripped a few things out of here. Right now I am going to work on removing both of those engine mounts, just to give myself a little bit more room. And then this cross member here will also come out. Probably just remove it right here. Well, it just downpoured for about 30 minutes. I'm gonna hopefully still try to get something done. Everything is soaking wet now, so that's fun. All right, got those cut out. I purposefully left these just a little bit long. That way I can come back in later, clean everything up, and like put a plate in there to make it look a little bit cleaner. Same with up here. I'll come back and clean those up later. All right, another day spent on the truck. I have off camera moved the truck into the shop here and put the engine on an engine stand. I'm not entirely sure what the goal for today is, so I might just do a whole bunch of time lapse and see what we can get done. Got her all washed off. She's, you know, far from perfect, but way better than it was. Only thing left to do now is pick her up and put her in.
One eternity later.
Ta-da! We have a V8 and a Mazda. It's not sitting exactly where it's going to end up. I mean, obviously there's going to be some adjustments. I'm going to put the transmission on it. I'm going to go underneath, put the transmission up, and then try, as they're one piece, try to get everything lined up where I want it, get all my angles right, and then I'll start putting the engine mounts on. But this is the closest that I have been. I mean, this is probably 2 years coming. It only took 2 years, but here we are. Been a long time waiting for this to all come together. All right, well, let's get to work.
A little longer than a few minutes later.
All right, we got the transmission bolted up. This is sitting about where it needs to be. I've got the transmission poking out through the hole. I could go back farther, like just, you know, distance from the valve covers to the firewall. I don't really feel like cutting up the floor, but if I did move it back a little farther, I'd have more room for a radiator. Right now, I don't know, it's kind of hard to tell on camera, but that is not a whole lot of space for a radiator. And I mean, I've got 2.5 inches that I could push this thing. So I might end up doing that. Would have to end up modifying the floor a little bit in here. I guess that wouldn't be the end of the world, but I mean, you know, not ideal, at least in my opinion. What I'm going to work on now is getting this installed. It's a kit, many different options. Obviously, I bought the one for the Ford. There's rear sump, front sump options. So, I mean, if you're, you know, following along at home, you know, trying to V8 swap your own, make sure you're getting the right kit. All right, I'm going to see if I can't get some of that bolted up onto the engine. I don't think my Crossmember is not going to fit right away. Obviously, that's got to be cut to size, but I can get some of these engine mounts bolted up, and we'll go from there. It's always a little unnerving when you have to start cutting brand new parts, but there's my line. 24 inches is my inside frame dimension. So, well, let's start cutting some stuff.
Two very boring minutes later.
And just like that, she's out again. We've got it set in there where the valve cover is just starting to touch the firewall on this one side. The shifter comes out in the hole. It's on the back side of it, so it just barely makes it. I don't think I'm going to have to modify it. It comes out right about there. If I have to, I will, but I don't think so. I don't think that's gonna hinder shifting. That being said, the little cross member ends up coming out about here. So I'm going to get all these ugly welds and the old mount ground down. So that's a clean surface.
Thousands of tears later.
All right. He's cleaned up. Good enough anyway. So tomorrow I can go back in.
A lot of boring math later.
It's been a few days. Off camera, I got the engine back in the truck and started making measurements for my Crossmember and engine mount setup. The whole process was long and tedious, and so I didn't film any of it because it was just a lot of in and out and in and out and measure and cut and trim. This Crossmember was a universal kit, so it came like 34 inches long. The inside dimensions of the frame rails on this truck are like 24 and 3/4. And the way this is set up is this piece slips over that piece. So the way it was, it's hard to describe, I guess, but because of the bend, the truck is so narrow that I had to cut off so much of my straight piece, that I was essentially trying to mate this to this at an angle. I made it work. Welds aren't super pretty, but they're strong and they'll hold. Now we put it in and we'll go from there.
20 minutes later.
And just like that, we have a V8 and a Mazda. I'm so excited right now. Like, I might not sound excited, but I am so excited. This is a long time coming. Still tons and tons of work to do to get it to running and driving. But the last week, I have done a ton of work and have made a ton of progress. And I am super stoked about that. I threw the hood up here. It's not on, it's just set up there. When it's closed and latched, I've got tons of clearance. My big concern, I wanted to get it as low as I could so that this and this didn't, come poking through the hood. And as of right now, I can probably get like an entire hand between that and the hood when it's shut and latched. So very cool. And I have no doubt that a carburetor and an air filter will sit up there without any sort of interference. So we are good to go. She is being held up by herself. The only thing, I still need to make a transmission cross member, but that shouldn't take me too long. This is so cool. This is really, really cool.